Sasquatch.
There are some shows that people talk about all the time. They have multiple seasons, they're critically acclaimed, and they're basically watched all the time. But there's some shows that are like hidden gems of the cartoon business. They only have one season, they're rarely talked about, possibly forgotten about. But there's one gem that I want to talk about today. One hidden gem. Dave the Barbarian. Dave the Barbarian is an anime show that aired on Disney Channel in 2004. I remember it also airing on Toon Disney. It ran for only a year and it only had one season. It's created by Doug Lang, who created Earthworm Jim and The Weekenders, who was also on Disney Channel. It starred Dan Cooksey as Dave the Barbarian. You had all other voice talents like Eric Luttrell, Therese McNeil, Paul Rugg, Jeff Bennett. It's basically a parody of medieval and barbarian movies like Conan the Barbarian, Hercules, Xena, Warrior Princess. There also was modern tropes in the medieval times, like shopping malls, rock bands, celebrities, online shopping. So the story could be summed up in the theme song. Like, literally, they basically summed up the whole show in the theme song. But I'm going to sum it up for you myself. So, the whole show is about a family of barbarians trying to go on adventures and do wacky stuff, and also taking on evil foes. While they're doing that, they're also trying to take care of their kingdom, because their king and queen, are, aka their parents, are gone, fighting the evil themselves. But the story is not the main focus of this show. But there is some plot and some character development. But I feel like the show is mostly focused on the jokes, the humor, and the characters themselves. Speaking of characters, first let's talk about the first character, the main character, Dave the Barbarian. He's like a strong warrior, but his personality is the opposite of a barbarian. He's very kind, very helpful, you know, he wants to do good in the world. He likes certain activities like knitting, you know, singing, origami, and stuff like that. He's a big scaredy cat. He's afraid of everything. A mouse screams like a little girl. Monster screams like a little girl. But over time, in some episodes, he actually becomes, you know, the big strong barbarian that he needs to be. In one episode, he actually becomes a barbarian, but in the most silliest way. Next, let's talk about his sister Candy. She is the one in charge over the kingdom. She's like a teenage girl, early 2000s teenage girl. She likes shopping. She likes to talk about boys, talk to her friends, wants to be pretty, stuff like that. And then in that time, and those types of things, she tries to get help from other people, like her brother and her other sister and even their uncle. But it ultimately doesn't go right. But it also goes right in the matter of fact of she kind of learns a lesson. Not really, but moving on. Let's talk about their other sister, Fang. And no, she is not a monkey, which is a running joke in the show. She's more like a barbarian than any of the characters. She's very wild, ferocious. She loves to fight, you know. She loves to throw down. She has a wild personality and everything. but she is somewhat intellectual sometimes. But she mostly just wants to go in and just brawl. Lastly, we have Oswich, their uncle. He's a wizard who tries to help out with his magic, but ultimately fails and kind of makes the whole thing worse. So, the recurring villain of the show, yes, there are villains, is Chuckles, the evil piggy. He tries to take over the kingdom and ultimately fails, like everything else in the show, like everyone else. Like, okay, so he kind of succeeds, but he doesn't, because, like, he does it, and then, you know, they come back and take over the kingdom, like, the family. But he also breaks the fourth wall, talks to the narrator. Yes, there is a narrator. And he knows that he's silly. He actually knows that he's a silly character and everything. But the big thing about this show is its humor. It's humor. And I feel like that should be the one thing that it should be praised for, is its humor and jokes. The jokes sometimes go over your head, but when they hit it hard. They also use a lot of wordplay and sarcasm, or sarcasm. For example, one of the joke is that stuff doesn't grow on trees, like dolls and other knickknacks. But then they pan over to a scene where a guy is picking dolls out of a bush. So it's like, you know, stuff does grow on bushes. There's also the scenarios actually help with the humor. Like the first episode, Dave's trying to find his purpose in life, and he becomes a psychiatrist and helps other people, including the monster of that episode. But overall, I feel like this show should get more praised, not for its story, but for its humor and commentary. Its characters also drive the show home and makes it better. I feel like this show should have got more seasons to figure out the plot and the story, and give it more humor. Give it better humor that they could, like, basically level up the humor. But I highly recommend this show. It's very good. I feel like it's a lost Disney show that should get more praise. But if you like this video, give it a like, subscribe to my channel, and comment down below what you think about Dave the Barbarian. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you think it's a hidden gem, or you just think it should be forgotten? I hope I can talk about more shows like this. And next video, I'm gonna talk about an adult version of a Barbarian show. So stay tuned.